Hey, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I haven't even checked my hair yet. I don't know. Am I going to go up? Am I going to go down? It's always a big to-do to think about. What am I going to do with my hair? And also, what color lipstick am I going to put on? Are my eyes even? I just drooled. Is my eye makeup even? Are my cheekbones even? You know, I got the one good side, the one bad side. Can you see my roots? Can you see the 6 gray hairs that have started to grow in? These are all thoughts I have. These are all thoughts I have because I'm a freaking woman. I'm sure men have their own thoughts. I'm sure men wake up and have their own insecurities. Maybe they don't. Maybe that's the beauty of being a man. Maybe you don't have it. Before we get too deep into this episode, this is a special episode for International Women's Day. So if you're a man listening, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. There's going to be some information for you as well. This isn't just pro-female and anti-male. It's not an anti-male establishment. I think anybody who knows me knows that I am equal opportunity offender, and I'm here for everyone. But let me just tell you, these are the thoughts that women have. And I'm sure you're like, oh, so annoying, women complaining about being women. Yeah, I'm annoying myself. I'm annoying myself. I get what you're saying. And I wholeheartedly agree. I wholeheartedly agree with you. So this is a general warning for the men that are listening. This will be about being a woman. And I know that you're sick of hearing about it. I'm sick of living it. But if you listen, you might learn some things. So this episode is only for the strongest hearted man and the bravest men who want to listen and stick around and hear about what it's like to sort of be my type of woman in today's society. And I don't really know much about International Women's Day, so we're going to learn about it a little bit. But it's definitely not going to be like, oh my God, girlfriend, yes, girl, go. Take down the man. I don't believe in any of that. I don't believe in any of that. I am down the middle of the freaking road, as they say. But before we get too deep, I'm going to ask you to rate the podcast 5 stars, because since it is close to International Women's Day, just a few days away, you should do it in honor of me. I'm a woman. I'm an international woman. I've been all over. I've been everywhere, man. Just like Johnny Cash said. I believe he was the one who said that. I've been Omaha, Wichita, Chicago, upstate New York, Arizona, New Mexico. I've been everywhere. And so even though none of those are out of this country, I've also traveled to Japan, Iraq, Afghanistan, Poland, Germany, Great Britain, Italy. I've been everywhere, bringing my wild form of entertainment to the masses. So I consider myself an international woman. I don't know much about International Women's Day, but I thought, how can I make this fun for everyone? So I found this article. And it was on Pinterest. I get a lot of my inspiration from Pinterest. I think it's a very female thing to do. Pinterest, I get my ideas for outfits. Before I go and pack, I go to Pinterest. I put in what the events are for the weekend, wherever I'm traveling. I think about all the little situations I'm going to be in, and I put it in Pinterest, and I find my outfit. Well, I found this article on Pinterest, and it is basically the theme of today's episode in honor of International Women's Day, which is something I don't necessarily celebrate, but I'm here for. I'm here for making anyone feel good, whether it's a woman, man, whether they're straight, gay, or whatever, if they love everybody. This is 100 ways to be elegant, which saying it out loud makes me feel really uncomfortable. Not that there isn't a place for elegance in today's world and society. There certainly is. I think elegance is timeless. When I think of elegance, I think of timelessness. But I also think about its place in today's society, and it seems to not quite fit as well as it once used to. And I say that because I think elegance, in my mind, is associated with a behaved woman, a well-behaved woman, which... there's a saying about a woman who behaves. My mom used to say it, and I can't quite remember exactly. Something fun, something like being a behaved woman is no fun, or women who behave badly. I'm probably chopping it up, but there is a phrase about a behaved woman or a woman who behaves, and to me that is indicative of the patriarchy, which we don't really talk about. We don't talk about politics. This podcast is meant to be fun. It's meant to take you away from all the seriousness that's out there and be sort of a palate cleanser for your ears. So I do think that the elegant woman is becoming an extinct creature. And I think it's becoming extinct because it's ever difficult for a woman to be elegant in today's society because there's other obstacles we have to overcome, and the skills that we need to display or suit ourselves with don't necessarily, they aren't necessarily elegant because we're just trying to get to our car. We're just trying to get home. We're just trying to feed our kids and make sure our career is going well. We're trying to do too much maybe. And today's modern woman, I think, has a lot to balance. So I don't know that elegance necessarily fits today's woman. I could be wrong. I'm a different type of woman. And maybe some people listening are like, oh, I have heard that before. Some men probably listening, oh, I've heard, well, I'm a different type of woman. You're just like everyone else. I am not. I consider myself a very independent woman, but I also am in this place in my life where I am trying to tap back into my femininity. And that's why I was like, okay, 100 ways to be elegant. Maybe this will be a cool list that can help any woman out there who's wanting to tap back into her femininity, learn how to do that and get some ideas and some tips on how to do that. So that's basically the inspiration for today and why I chose this article. I didn't want to be too basic and cliche when it comes to celebrating women. I think this is a phrase that's thrown around a lot, not necessarily to celebrate women, but to sound like you celebrate women. I think the best way for you to celebrate women is to go out and celebrate women, not to say it or post about it. Maybe those things work as well, but I think anything you do in life over on social media is going to be better. I think it's going to have more of a ripple effect because all you're doing is posting something for somebody to read, and this woman's reading this, not hanging out with other women because she's on her phone looking at whatever you just posted. So I think it's all about celebrating women in life and actually walking the talk, not just talking the talk. And that's kind of how I am. And maybe that's why people assume that I'm not a feminist, and people make so many assumptions about my opinions and what I think about the world. And maybe that's, maybe people don't at all. And that's just my ego. But 100 ways to be elegant. I don't know that we're going to get through all of them, but I really want to. So some I might just breeze through. Some I might comment on. I have only read the first 3 and I started laughing. I found this just randomly while I was going to the bathroom. I'll be honest. Pinterest is a great website to peruse while you're taking care of business. I don't know that an elegant woman would have said that. Already I'm fucking it up. So the first 3 made me laugh, and then I thought I don't want to read anymore because I want to share this and experience this list with you. So this will be us discovering this together. But before we get into the list, there's this book I bought from a thrift shop. I wonder if it's, there's this scanner here. Oh, that looks like there's like a state. Oh no, it's a book. I thought it was the outline of a state. It's an open book. I'm like, what state is that? All the Democratic states. See, I got political for no reason. This book just spoke to me, and it seemed like it was going to have a bunch of stuff in it that would infuriate me. And it's the Amy Vanderbilt Complete Book of Etiquette, a guide to contemporary living, revised and expanded by Letitia Baldridge. Letitia Baldridge, I'm sure she lunches. I'm sure she used to lunch with the ladies and talk about the colored folk and how she wished she could help them more. This, I could be completely wrong, but this screams of an era that I was not even a zygote for. Look at this woman. I'm sure she's really nice, and I just completely misread her. She looks like she might think a certain way about certain people. Don't judge a book by its cover. Go to the back cover and judge the author by its cover. So I don't know much about her. I'm going to dig into her a little bit after this, but this book had so many different to-dos for women. It's basically an etiquette book for society, but I think it's definitely geared towards women. And it's almost like let's see what it says here. Amy Vanderbilt's etiquette has always been synonymous with gracious living. To the expanded and completely new version of the classic book, Letitia, aka Tish Baldridge, brings impeccable credentials stemming from her years in a diplomatic life as an assistant to the American ambassador in Paris and in Rome, 3 years as social secretary to the White House during the John F. Kennedy administration. God, she sounds really interesting now. I feel bad for making fun of her. See, I like to just have fun and not know anything and be honest. And then correct myself. I think I have a right to do that. As a former Tiffany & Company executive and now the head of her own public relations firm, I probably should really just make sure I didn't make fun of her at all. If she's got a PR firm, Tish, babe. Excuse everything I said before. I think she's dead by now, but as a former Tiffany & Company executive, now the head of her own public relations firm, she also brings her writing firsthand experience of the business and professional worlds. And American society changes, so do our customs. So that's interesting because that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about changing customs in reference to women and what's expected of women in society and what's deemed appropriate. Because we have to look at the wider scope of society when we're talking about what's appropriate. A lot has changed. A lot has changed for women. The business world, for example, has been drastically altered by the growing number of women in positions of responsibility. Men and women are searching for new guidelines on how to relate to each other in the office, at meetings, or traveling together on business. God, I really want to read this whole book. So this whole book is basically about etiquette, and it made me think like I might just scan to a page before the end of the podcast, and read what it delivers to us. Because it has all different topics. It's entertaining before second weddings. What? Why did I open to that page? Of course, I'm from upstate and I pick up the second wedding section. Second wedding ceremony, dressing for the second wedding. Is second wedding a second marriage? Funeral calls, the funeral service. So it's basically etiquette on everything in life. Problems of the divided home. We're keeping that open right there. So that's something we're going to do before the end of the podcast. Okay, let's get into 100 ways to be elegant. Subtitle, without depending on a label. I don't know what that means. Maybe it means like a designer label. I mean, if it's not at Marshall's, I'm not wearing it. Number 1, send thank you notes always and to everyone. I agree with this. My mother always kept thank you notes. It's something I tell my friends to do. I think it's a smart thing to do. It's smart and it's kind to let people know that you thought of them. And it's also kind to thank somebody for something they did for you. You can even just thank them for being a good friend. I think it's important to thank people. Gratitude, that's what this tells me. Number 1, be grateful. Okay, I agree with that. I think that gratitude plays an important role in elegance, but just being a human being, being grateful. Already here for it. 2, practice good posture. I'm out. I'm out. Now you're telling me how to sit? So I'm supposed to sit like this while I'm writing my thank you note? Because if I really want to write my note, I'm going to bend and I'm going to feel the note. And I might not have good posture. But people have told me that I have good posture. And I think about my mom. My mother always stood up straight. She always looked people right in the eye. She always held her chin high. And so there is something to this. There's also a little side note I want to say that there's a power stance. If we're talking about elegance, we also have to talk about power because there is something powerful about being elegant. When you hold your drink, you keep your arm at a 90-degree angle. You don't hold your drink up. You don't hold it down. You don't hold it half up. 90 degrees, you're just chilling, elbows locked. And then you're not going to want to bend down because that's going to mess up the posture. Because if we're practicing good posture, I don't know, maybe get a really long straw. Just keep your drink at a 90-degree angle. There's no science to that, but I read that once after, I think it was a Huberman Lab, a link from Huberman Lab. Okay, so send thank you notes, practice good posture, speak more softly. What did you just tell me to do? This list ain't going so well. So you're telling me to be grateful, stand up straight and shut the fuck up. And this is how I'm supposed to be elegant? Who wrote this list? Rockefeller? Did Rockefeller and Carnegie get together and break down the science of how they think a woman should be elegant? I'm already pissed. 4, listen without interrupting. I'm Sicilian. Interrupting is my love language. How am I supposed to get my point across if I can't interrupt you? Come on. That is a freaking communication tactic. That's the only way we communicated in the household. At dinner time, there were 7 stories. None of them got finished because everyone interrupted each other and we all felt loved at the end of it. 5, wear solid colors. I mean, now it's just starting to sound like a dictatorship. This is crazy. Wear solid colors. Now, let's think about the title of this article, 100 Ways to be Elegant. I don't think you need to wear a solid color to be elegant. If anything, wearing a solid color, depending on the color, is very bold. It's a bold choice. And I think of Anna Wintour when I think of really the first 5, except for Listening Without Interrupting, because I would imagine she interrupts. And she didn't really speak that softly. Maybe she did. The way that, what's the actress's name? Why am I blanking? I always blank on her name. The greatest actress of all time who played Anna Wintour from Devil Wears Prada. I can't even believe I can't think of her name. I'm saying like Glenn Close, but it's not Glenn Close. Helen Mirren. Oh my God, it's not Helen Mirren, but it's what's her name? Yes, Meryl Streep. Whenever I think of Meryl Streep, I can't think of Meryl Streep. It's so funny. It's a thing that I have. It's like a Meryl Streep block. But Meryl Streep did speak softly when she was playing Anna Wintour. Number 6, ignore fads or use them sparingly. I like fads. Sometimes fads are fun, like fashion fads, like the whole croc. Ignore fads. What are you talking about? What am I wearing? This isn't going to last. I will wear these till I'm 80. I find a fad and I hang on to it. I don't care if it goes out of style. I just hang on to it. We're halfway through the podcast and I'm only at number 6. 7, have a signature wine that you serve at home. To me, that's not necessary. Why can't I have a few wines? First of all, Trader Joe's has sales. Second of all, Ralph's has buy 6. There's like a 10% off, buy 3, get 3 for free. I'm going where the sales are. When you come over my house, the wine's never the same. I'm price matching like a mofo. By the way, 7.5, be frugal. That's a way to be elegant. Be frugal where you can. Because let me tell you, sometimes I don't know the difference between a $100 bottle of wine or a $5 bottle of wine. $2 Chuck, God bless you. Well, I'm not elegant because I'm frugal? Are you kidding me? Nancy was the most graceful woman I ever knew. My mother, graceful. She used to buy boxed wine. Well, she's not elegant because she drinks out of cardboard box. I'd like to talk to you for a minute. I'd like to step outside and have a conversation. That's what you really think. Number 8. Wear only 2 to 3 accessories. This just is, it feels like grooming, this list. It feels like a way to groom a woman to control her. Only 2 to 3 accessories. Now, I'm different. I wear a lot of jewelry. I have these necklaces I wear at all times. I switch up the longer necklace, which is my mother's. I've got 2 of my special necklaces I bought for myself. One from Italy, one from New York City with this deep meaning. I have earrings that can't come out of my face because they are attached to my skin. I usually have more jewelry than Mr. T. So far, sending thank you notes is the only thing I've nailed on this list. Good posture, yes. I usually naturally sit right. I don't speak more softly. I'm not a soft speaker. Maybe it's something I could definitely work on. Now that I'm going down through this list, I'm seeing the value. Now that I've revisited a few of these and haven't even gotten to number 10, I'm starting to understand what everyone's talking about. Okay, let's get through some of these. 9, have impeccable manners. Oh my God, I'm exhausted. What? Come on. Invite me to a fancy dinner. It'll be more fun if I don't know what fork to eat with first. I went out to dinner with my friend and I started with the wrong fork and got berated. I'm sorry. No one ever invited me to the Great Gatsby's house. Why are there 7 forks on the table in the first place? What is this, Get Out? There shouldn't be this much silverware. Is there a sacrifice happening after this? Why is there so much silver? Why is that old lady in the corner just sitting still and not speaking or eating? Everyone looks haunted and racist in this house. The more silverware, the more racist words. I want to have good manners, but I also want to have the experiences where good manners are required, like in a private jet. Put me on a private jet. I'll know what fork to eat then. But at Chipotle? I don't have time for manners at Chipotle. Read on a variety of topics, number 10. Okay, I'm here for that. I'm here for reading on a variety of topics. That's one I wholeheartedly agree on. I think reading in general is very important for anyone. Forget elegance, just being a general human being in today's society. It's good to be well-versed in a bunch of different topics. You never know what people are going to want to talk about, and it makes it for more fun conversation when you're out and about. You know, my cousin Jimmy, who I know listens to almost every freaking episode, and he's my brother from another mother. He's been my brother since I was younger, even though he's my cousin. He's a brother I never wanted, and I got lucky enough to have. He is well-versed on a variety of topics, and I could bring him to any place. My cousin Jimmy, I could bring him to any place, any party, household, restaurant, college pub, even though we don't do that, but just to explain that he could talk about anything anywhere. And it's a great quality to have. And we're not talking just, TMZ topics, everything. The one area that I need to have more interest, but then again, is politics. It's just so exhausting. And I don't believe anything anyone says. I get my sources from a couple places that almost are going out of business every week because they rely on funding. That's what I think is the right thing to do. You know, these poor places, these poor outlets, college run, NPR, and then a little bit of the other side, just to see what the other side's talking about. No, I'm not on any side. Like I said, I'm a middle of the road type of person, but I do agree of a variety of topics. 11, maintain a budget. Get out of my money. How about that? How about a way for you to stay elegant is to stay the F out of my pocket. How I make my money is how I make my money. And elegant or not, it's my money. So step back. 12, study the arts. I love this. The arts are so important. Arts in general, I feel it feels like they're definitely not as important as they should be in our society. Going to a play, going to an opera, going to live music, a art gallery. If your friend has an art showing, even if there's just street artists, anything like that, I believe is important in society. Arts are the glue to society in my mind, and also the glue to the past. Because so much of, so many books, so many amazing paintings and all of that created a lot of the chunk of culture that I think is the most interesting. That is the heart of society is art. Art is the heart of society in my mind. So I do agree with that. 13, have one signature perfume or cologne. I wholeheartedly agree. I wholeheartedly agree. One signature perfume. I've had the same one for years, and I fluctuate between two, but they're almost identical. A transgender friend of mine back in the day said a woman should always smell like a cookie. And I think about that. And I understood what she meant. It's like a woman should smell somewhat edible. And I don't know if that's elegant, but let me tell you, people always comment on how I smell and that they love my perfume. 14, show restraint in expressing anger. I'm Sicilian. This makes me angry. Restraint in expressing anger. First of all, ew, that causes cancer. And probably other health issues. Inflammation. I'll get bubble guts. I'll get agita. If I don't express my anger, I'm going to get agita, for sure. That's what causes all agita in Italians. We don't express ourselves. I have to shake my hands. I got to shake my hands. I need to yell, and I'm not even that upset. I'm just passionate. I'm not angry. I'm passionate. But restraint in expressing anger, I don't think that's healthy. I think there's a healthy way to express your anger. Anger is not a bad thing. And a woman she doesn't have a right to be angry? Come on now. Just the very existence, just the very truth of being a woman is infuriating. Our hormone fluctuation makes me furious. How my hormones fluctuate in a single month, literally makes me furious. Literally. One day I want to burn you. The next day I want to just make food for you. That's not me being a bad person. That's not me being angry. That's me just being a woman. Believe me, I would love to be calm. I would love it. I would love to be calm. The only thing I can't stand is when someone tells a woman to calm down. You have no idea. And while I hate, one of the things I hate, I don't say hate often because I think it's a bad word to say. I do not like trauma bonding. I do not like complaining. I do not like, woe is me. Because I feel like there's always a way to make it better. But as a woman, there are certain things that are just consistent with us that are just infuriating. So then if you want me, what number was this? 14, show restraint in expressing anger. Then open up a brick wall place that I can throw mugs at. I'm going to open that up. I'm going to call it Angry Annie's. For any women only, who are angry. You can come any day of the week. There'll be a membership fee. You can bring your own mug. We'll provide you with mugs and you can smash them against a brick wall. And then we'll allow children in the neighborhood and children in the surrounding area to make art out of the shattered pieces. Look at that. We're studying the arts and we're showing restraint and expressing anger because we're funneling it. We're sort of, we're honing the anger down to a fun event. 15, learn the art of conversation. I agree with this. I think it's important to learn how to talk to people. I think coming out of quarantine, a lot of us came out and we were like, me like apple. I love lamp. We all came out of quarantine talking like Steve Carell from Anchorman. I don't know what we're yelling about. That's how I feel. So I do think it's important to learn the art of conversation. You just watch a couple podcasts. Go out, talk to people. That's one of the reasons why when I go out, I always talk to people. It's one of the reasons why I ask people their name, and you learn interesting things. Everyone's got such an interesting story. And one of the places you can start, even though a lot of us don't want to do this, is in Ubers. Now, I've been riding around a lot in Ubers lately because I'm in between vehicles right now, and I was loathing it. I was lucky enough to have my assistant, Deb, drive me around to a couple places. I didn't want to have to rely on her, and I have to go to a lot of places. So I've taken a few Ubers, and I was really dreading it. But actually, I've had amazing conversations. A couple really great conversations with a couple really interesting people. This one guy actually sat in the front because I get sick in backseat of cars. I get nauseous, and I get very, very motion sick. And he goes... Well, I get in his Uber and I roll down the window. That's one way for me to sort of mitigate the nausea. And I said, I just have to have this down because I get a little nauseous. Don't worry, I won't throw up. I get motion sick. And he said, well, do you want to sit in the front? My instinct was no, because I don't want to talk to you. In my mind, I thought that. And because I had that thought, I said, I have to sit in the front now because I feel uncomfortable. So I want to work through this discomfort. So I said, sure. As I got out of the back seat into the front seat, I thought to myself, oh, this guy could be a pervert. I thought all these negative thoughts. As a woman, that's what we think because a lot of you want to murder us. Why do you think women buy so many sneakers? It's not because they're fashionable. It's just so we can get the F away. So as I'm passing from the back to the front seat, I sit down and he quickly follows up with, my sister also gets nauseous. And whenever I drive her around, I always think about other people. If they get nauseous, I just want them to feel comfortable in the front seat. And I said, see, if I had just waited a minute, if my brain didn't go right to the negative, but that's also the modus operandi of a lot of women. We have those thoughts as protective thoughts, as survival thoughts. So I sat in the front seat with him and I learned so much about him. He just bought his first home. His wife, his girlfriend's pregnant with his first kid. He has 3 jobs. He does construction that he's always done for a while. He also drives Uber and actually he stopped construction. So he drives Uber. He has a business from home. He has like a online retail business. And he's also a counselor for homeless children and for children that are in the system who are orphans, who don't have homes. And he is a therapist for them. And he told me that he makes less than teachers in the city. And it really made me think, I never would have known this. I never would have thought about researching this had I not talked to this man. And this young guy, like, you know, maybe around my age, out here hustling, making it work. And he has to because of how expensive it is in the city. And I'm saying all this because we're talking about learning the art of conversation. I felt really uncomfortable about talking to him, but I was so glad that I did because I learned how selfless this guy is. And this guy who really wants to have a good home for his family and is willing to work hard and be uncomfortable and work all day long. And also his real career is helping children who are in the system, and he helps them navigate the system and helps them through their transitional process of hopefully finding a forever home. And I felt so endeared to this human being. And I never would have learned this about him if I didn't go through that uncomfortable thought of, I don't want to talk to him. And so 15 really resonates with me. And it's one of the things that is the cornerstone of who I am. It's the cornerstone of both of who my parents were. And when I think about my mom, I do think about elegance. My mother was very, very elegant. And she was a union representative in the head of her section of the Syracuse Teachers Association in Syracuse, New York. And she represented everyone in a school that wasn't a teacher. So your lunch ladies, your hall monitors, nurses, teaching assistants, anybody who wasn't exactly considered a teacher, she represented and fought for their rights. And I remember hearing her talk to people because people would call her at home. She took her work home with her. The way she spoke to people was so elegant. If I could describe my mother in one word, it would be elegant. So I'm failing miserably at this list. But 15, I've got it. I've got 15. Let's see if we can make it through to 20 at least. I was hoping we can make it through to 50. Okay, so let's do a quick recap. We've got sending thank you notes, practicing good posture, speak more softly as I'm yelling that into your ear, listening without interrupting, so difficult. I really got to work on that. Wearing solid colors. I mean, I'm in a yellow sweatshirt. I feel like I'm killing it. Ignoring fads. I'm in Crocs, so that's a loss. That's a fail. Have a signature wine. I've got 4 waiting for me tonight. Wear only 2 to 3 accessories. I'm literally in 23 accessories, so maybe I'll look at that as 23 instead of 2 to 3. Have impeccable manners. Well, I already fucked up the fork at dinner last week, so what else could go wrong? Read on a variety of topics. Wholeheartedly agree. Maintain a budget. Yeah, sure. That's just being a regular person. Study the arts. Number 12, for sure. 13, have one signature perfume. I mean, it's good to know what you smell like. It's good to know what smells good on you. And you don't want to mix it up too much. I do agree with that. I think that's kind of classy. Show restraint in expressing anger. You already know how I feel about that. I'm going to have a brick wall with mugs for you guys. Learn the art of conversation. That's number 15. Number 16, learn French. What? Now I feel like a French person wrote this list. Just French? It's elegant because they eat baguette and smoke cigarettes? Give me a break. Why French? I want to learn Italian. You ever listen to Italians? It's so beautiful. Sono una donna. Like, don't come at me. Don't come at me with your French. Oh, oui, oui, je m'appelle Jessica. Sounds like a car. Oui, oui. I'm sure not everybody's that raspy, but sure, learn French. Learn a language in general. Why has it got to be French? 17, wear a trench coat. What? I don't know if you've read the news. Trench coats aren't exactly in trend anymore. 2 words, Columbine. I know it was 1 word, but I was just trying to make light of something that shouldn't be made light of. But trench coats, I don't know if we're wearing those as much anymore. So that might be a dated one, and I don't see the point of that. 18, learn how to wear a scarf. Look, if you don't know how to wear a scarf, walk into traffic. And by the way, there's not one way to wear a scarf. I got to tell you, if it's cold, I'm wrapping my neck. I'm wrapping it up like someone wrapping up a dead body in plastic wrap. I'm wrapping up my neck. If I'm going out for a night, I'm going to drape it over my shoulders. I'm casual. I'm a little chilly, but I like to live on the edge, so I'm going to keep my neck skin exposed. If I'm trying to be cool, I'm going to do that wrap, and then you flip it through and then flip it over almost like a tie. There's a bunch of ways. I like when women take the scarf and they make it into they wrap it around their boobs. You know, like those hippie women who live on communes in Costa Rica, and they find a way to like wrap it around their titties, and then they tuck a baby in it, and then there's like a bushel of bananas in the back. I'm here for that wrap. Like, that's a wrap. Not like the podcast is over, but that is definitely a wrap. 19, wear a tuxedo when one is called for. Well, hello, Katie Lang. Where'd that come from? Who is this list for? You know, I wouldn't be mind rocking a tux if I wouldn't mind rocking a tux if it was fitted. That'd be kind of fun. I feel like that's like a moment, you know, Billie Eilish moment, like a fun little gender bender moment. But learn French and wear a tux. I don't know who this list is for. It could also be a good list for your son who may be gay. We can also include this list for that as well. Wear a tuxedo. I don't know. Is that elegant for a woman to wear a tuxedo? Feels out of left field. There are some curveballs on this list. 20, practice quality over quantity. I agree. And that's where I'm at in my life. It's all about quality over quantity. And I think that comes with age. And there is something elegant about it as well. Quality conversations, quality food, quality time, quality vacation, quality information, quality people. When you're younger, you think more is better. And you think having more of whatever makes you wealthier. And when you get older, you realize that having more just weighs you down. And when you're able to sort of work through where the quality is in your life, and you start to get rid of the aspects of your life that no longer represent quality or no longer bring you value, you really start to settle down. It's kind of the best part of aging or getting older, is realizing the value of quality over quantity. And I definitely agree with that. But learning French? Get out of town. Get the frick out of town. Speaking of getting out of town, I'm going to be in a city near you. Come check me out, jessimae.com/tour. I'm going to be at the end of March 29th and 30th at Point Beach. Debbie has got her head in her hands right now. Point Beach, Pacific Beach, Florida. I'm going to be in Florida at Panama City Beach, Florida. Is that right? I'm like, Deb, don't talk. Tell me what city I'm going to be in. Pacific Beach, Florida, March 20. Did I mess it up? Panama City. Panama City Beach, Florida. I'm opening the weekend there. I'm going to be at March 29th and 30th, jessimae.com/tour for tickets. I'm also going to be in Omaha, Nebraska, Syracuse, New York, Rochester, New York, Chicago. I was just in Texas. I know a few of you have asked me about coming to Texas. I don't know why you didn't see that. jessimae.com/tour for those dates. But before we go, I want to read a little bit from this book here. Let's go. This is fun. There's a couple different things. Oh, Jewish ceremonies, the clergyman's wedding. I'm in a ceremonies of life. Oh, wait, here we go. Problems of the divided household. If the parents of the bride are separated but not divorced, they issue a joint invitation to their daughter's wedding and take their accustomed part in the ceremony as if there were no difference. For her sake, too, both officiate at the reception. What if your parents are dead? See, my parents are divorced and dead. So what's the etiquette on that? Sometimes when divorce has taken place, the mother gives the wedding and the father the reception. If he has not married again, we all know he did. That's why they're not together. He stands first in line to receive the guests. Oh, the man of the house. Really? The man of the house left. He should be in the back. I mean, women can also stray in their marriage, but I'm just giving you one-sided scenario. If he has remarried, his wife acts as hostess. See, I don't like that. What if we don't like her? Why does she have to be the hostess? What if we're not down with her? If the bride's mother should attend the reception under the latter circumstances, we know she's going to attend the reception and already be drunk if the hostess of the house is the stepmom. As might well happen in some instances, she comes as a guest and she cannot stand at the table of her former husband in his new home and share the duties of the hostess with his wife. This is so dramatic. First of all, who are you to say that? Who are you to say that? I mean, this is how things have changed. Homes are blended these days. If, however, her former husband has not remarried, she could stand with him on the receiving line in his home, acting as a hostess for the occasion, whether or not she has remarried. In this case, it's their choice who stands first. Oh, so the first wife, let me get this straight. The first wife is just up Schitt's Creek? What did she do? What if she didn't mess up the marriage? What if she didn't sleep with the neighbor's dad? Why is this woman sent out to the pasture? She's just being tossed around like a ping pong ball. I mean, she is the mother of the bride. Why is she being treated like a guest? Absolutely not. If the mother divorced, gives both wedding and reception, the father usually gives the bride away, calling for her at her mother's house in the bridal car. Oh, God, do these people realize not everybody has money or homes? Bridal car. It's a 99 Buick bridal car. Give me a break. If the bride's mother has remarried, her husband sits with her at the first pew on the left, and the bride's father sits behind them with his wife in the second or third pew. Yeah, put her behind. That's right. Put her in the back of the room. Matter of fact, have her light the candles in the church because she's going to need a prayer because she's a home-wrecking whore. It must be the bride's great day, and even if her parents have been long divorced and long remarried, they're probably to her forever a unit, the unit that had produced her. She needs to feel, if possible, that on this day they are brought together, if only briefly, by this great common interest, the wedding of their child. Well, both my parents are dead, so I'll never experience that. That was a really nice way to wrap this podcast up. I should have just stopped while I was ahead with the whole quality quantity chat. That would have been a great way to end the podcast. But no, I'm just reminded that I will be walking down the aisle with Chicken, Bunny, and Carlin. Those are my dogs. Who gives this woman away? And it's Chaplin with no teeth. He's got the ring on his tongue. And he's just there giving me away all 4 pounds of him because both of my parents are dead. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed number 1 through 20 of 100 Ways to Be Elegant in honor of International Women's Day. We didn't really get into it. International Women's Day is a global holiday celebrated annually on March 8th and is a focal point in the women's rights movement. You know, that's important. I do believe that. International Women's Day gives focus to issues as gender equality, reproductive rights, and violence and abuse against women. So this is, all in all, a really great cause. And it's important to have these conversations. It's also important to bring light and to not take ourselves so seriously. I think there's a way to accommodate both ends of the spectrum here when we're talking about all these days and things we need to follow and events and international days for everything. There's a lot of wildness in the world right now, and there's a lot of division. And I think my job is to bring light to these sort of situations. And as a woman, it hasn't been very easy, but there's other situations that have been absolutely magical because I am a woman. Clara Zetkin, the leader of the Women's Office for the Social Democratic Party in Germany, tabled the idea of International Women's Day. She proposed that every year in every country there should be a celebration on the same day, Women's Day. So Clara Zetkin is the woman who started this movement, and I will probably be the woman who single-handedly dismantles it in this one podcast episode. But we can get into these other ones, I think, next week. I think it's interesting just as a conversation to discuss what is elegant. And now that we know it kind of goes for everybody, because they mentioned a tuxedo and learning French, and those things are genderless. So I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about etiquette and elegance that is important in today's society. And I hope you guys know what fork to eat with, because I still have no idea. I'll never know. And it's fun for me to not know. Sometimes ignorance truly is bliss. Is it elegant to be ignorant? I have no idea. But all I know is I am here for the quality over quantity. I hope this podcast represents a quality podcast for you guys and brings value to you, and in honor of the ones I think I really need to work on, which is listening without interrupting and speaking more softly. I'm just going to end the podcast like this, just to thank you guys so much. And this is basically every heterosexual man's dream is just to have a very soft-spoken, gentle, fork-using, respectful woman who sits up straight and wears solid colors and only has 2 to 3 accessories. So thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast.